Joining me today, making her Toronto mic'd debut, it's Juno Award-winning talent Hill Kourkoutis. Welcome, Hill.
Thanks for having me.
What kind of name is Hill? Because at first I thought it was like Hillary, but it's two L's and Hill. Okay, so
I'm a Hillary with two L's.
All right, so Hill is just like Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay, like, that's easy. Okay, I just wanted to.
Mike of Michael.
All right. Well, I wondered what Hill was, and then I decided it must be Hillary. But then I'm like, why is there two L's? But of course there could be two L's. Like, what am I talking about?
Symmetry. It's lovely.
Nice to meet you. We're gonna learn a lot about you. I have some audio I'm going to play along our journey. But are you ready for like a small world story?
I love small world stories. Yes,
because it's a small world after all. That's what I've learned. What day is today? Wednesday. Monday night. Yeah. Okay, so this is a weird. Normally I record and then I drop it right away, but actually today is Stu Stone Day, so your episode won't drop today. It'll drop tomorrow or Friday. But we're recording on a Wednesday, and Monday night, a woman made her Toronto mic debut, and I'm going to play a clip from her right off the top. Okay.
Okay.
So listen in the headphones for this.
I don't know. I guess me and my friends during COVID, we had this great group of check-ins, like Madison Violet was on it, Sarah McDougall, Sarah Slean, Hill was on it, Hill Kourkoutis, Amanda Rio. I mean,
do you have a message for Hill? Like,
Hi,
you
Hill.
could say it now and I'll cut it out.
I want to tell her that I'm so proud of her and she's kicking ass, and I love the soccer theme that she did for FIFA.
And now, Mike, I want you to play that theme. Yeah, I heard it. I actually heard it on the radio.
Cool.
After I booked Hill, I heard it on the radio, believe it or not. And then it all came together in this perfect storm here.
She's just so brilliant. And I started watching Hill when she was 19. She was underage on stage. When I worked at the Orbit Room, she would come to the Orbit Room with Tara Sloan. They were good friends. Tara's a good friend of mine too. We're both Virgos. Okay. And I remember seeing little baby Hill killing it, just slaying on her guitar, probably 18 years old, maybe 17, at the Elma Combo, the old Elma Combo, when the stage was risen and you just walked into
Pre-Weckerly.
Yeah, exactly. And gosh, she was so good. She's so talented, but she's a mastermind, and I love that she's getting the accolades that she deserves, and especially as a woman, in tech, like as a producer, as an engineer. She's paving the way for so many other young female and non-binary people. It's like incredible what she's doing. And so what a trailblazer. Tell her that I love her. She still has to invite me over to her house with her dog and Abby so that we can have some, I don't know, vino. She can cook me something Greek. We always talk about our culture. We're big on our cultures.
That's Andrea, right?
That's Andrea. I'm glad you could recognize the voice there. There you go. Just ran like Monday night. She drops your name, and I'm like, okay, she's visiting Wednesday, and then I had her record that message for you. So, how does it feel hearing such praise from such a talented woman?
It feels beautiful, and yeah, I love Andrea. I think she's absolutely brilliant too. So, yeah, feelings very mutual.
And then she brought in the name Tara Sloan. So I wrote a note to Tara, who's been over a few times. And I said, we're due for a catch up. And she says, yes, for sure. And then she said, tell Hill I say hi. So it's just this, I don't even know these, clicks exist until it sort of gets uncovered. And I think it's just wild to me that coincidentally, because you were not booked related to Andrea Romolo. Say the last name for me.
Ramolo, yeah.
Okay, because I always want to say Ramolo, but it's not Ramolo, it's Ramolo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's. But I got yours right? Kourkoutis.
Yeah, you nailed it. It.
It's all Greek to me, you know this. But how do you know Tara? Can you give me a little Tara?
So Tara and I actually go way back. I played guitar for her solo record, and I also directed the first music video I ever directed was a video for Tara Sloan.
I think she's very talented.
She's extremely talented. Yeah, she's my big sister.
Okay.
I love her.
And you never know who's buddies with who in this world, right? So you and Tara are very close, okay? And you're buds with Andrea Romolo as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got a whole thing. Well, I feel like that's a group right there.
It's a fun group.
That's a collective.
Yeah, that's a great group.
Okay, call me when it's time to name that group. So Andrea mentioned, and we're going to start with this, and then we'll go back and learn more about you. But so many questions when I said you're coming on. Well, most of the questions were related to the FIFA theme that Andrea alluded to. I'll just read one from Viraj Dave, and Viraj wrote, "It would be interesting to know how Hill got selected to record the FIFA theme. So maybe I play this thing now, as I promised Andrea I would. So I'm going to play the whole thing. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we're going to talk all about this, and then we'll go back and talk about where your Junos are kept and all that important stuff. Okay, I got some more good audio. I recognize those notes at the end there. Oh my goodness, that's a shout out to the TTC. Tell me everything you can about what we just heard and how you were selected to create it and what you did to do it. Tell me everything, Hill.
So, wild story. It was just after New Year's. I checked my Instagram and I had a message request from a FIFA account, and it said, "We have this exciting opportunity to run by you." And at first, I thought it was a hoax. Because you don't get a message like that every day. I'm like, am I getting spammed? Right. But then, yeah, I clicked on the user, and it was the FIFA World Cup official page. So, yeah, I got in touch with them, and they proposed this really amazing project, which is the Sonic ID project. So this is the first year that there's multiple host cities for the FIFA World Cup 26.
Right.
And each host city selected a producer to produce a remix or a Sonic ID of the official FIFA World Cup 26 theme song.
So you were selected for the Toronto theme because we're hosting some World Cup matches next summer.
Yep, exactly.
Amazing. Like, so do you have any idea how you got on their radar or why? Was it the Juno Award? What's going on?
I have no clue, but I didn't ask. I just went for it.
You know, we never ask, right? Because I so similar to you, I had an email and I'm like, is this spam or not? And they're like, oh, will you come on CNN tomorrow morning? This is what it was. This is about a week ago. And you have this whole, like, everybody's first question to you following your appearance would be, how did they know you? Like, why did they ask you? And then you realize, like, you don't actually ever ask that question. Like, it's sort of like, you're glad you were asked, you do it. You were asked, Hill, you were tapped on the shoulder, said, we need you to create this Toronto theme for the FIFA World Cup 2026. You just did it. You didn't ask why me, because you don't want them to think, yeah, why you? We'll go ask. Where's a dead mouse or whatever? Like, let's go get somebody else.
I know, major imposter syndrome pops up.
Yeah. So we don't know why, but you're on their radar because of
somehow, yes.
Yeah, you're on my radar too. Look, you're in the now you've arrived. Okay, sorry. Q wanted you, Tom Power, and I said no. Hill's coming on Toronto Mike. That's what's going on here. So tell me about the creation of that theme, if you don't mind. I literally was driving my kid to soccer, appropriately enough, and I was on terrestrial radio, good old fashioned radio. a station played it because
That's
they were interested in the TTC sound.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So they kind of isolated that part, and they were kind of shouting you out for putting the TTC sound into this Toronto theme. But can you give us a little insight into, did you always know you were going to have that element, that audio element in there, and maybe creating this theme?
I mean, initially I kind of had to meditate on what Toronto is and what that would mean sonically. And right. I think that Toronto is so many things because we're so culturally diverse. And that was kind of the first bit of inspiration that I took from it. And the second bit of inspiration was the Toronto sound, which is essentially the sound in popular music that has put Toronto on the map, made famous by Drake and The Weeknd and Pardon Next Door.
Sure.
And then I was trying to think if there were any specific kind of sounds that were very recognizably Toronto, especially for locals, hearing that. And that's when the iconic TTC chime kind of came to mind. So,
and I'm glad you added that. It's amazing. and well done. So this is a fairly new release that you've got this Toronto theme, and there we just heard it there, and I'm sure now people will be hearing it often. I'm pretty jazzed. You get a free ticket.
That I don't know yet. I mean, we'll see.
Honestly,
we shall see. I wouldn't say no.
Because, sure. And again, I don't even know the schedule. I don't even know if it's been released yet. But I'm assuming Canada plays a match at
we will be, yeah, because we have qualified because we are a host city. And now the other teams that are going to qualify, they're starting to qualify now. They're doing all the qualifying games. So
okay,
we'll find out soon who will be paired.
Like I hear you, because I follow this just enough to be dangerous, but I know that we do get the automatic because we're hosting, but I also know we would have made it anyway.
Yeah, we're kicking ass right now, which is really awesome. And I think don't quote me, but I think the first game, I think the first game will be a Canada versus someone else game.
Of course, which is a way it should be.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, we've never won a World Cup match in our country's history. You know this.
No, yes, I do.
So I think your theme will break that streak. I know.
Let's hope.
When we got our first goal, I watched it. I was in Montreal and I was watching it. I was trying to remember who we were playing, but Alphonso Davies scored a goal. And was it Croatia? It'll come back to me. But bottom line is, it was like, oh, we actually scored a goal. Like that was a big deal to score a goal. Next stop is to win a match.
It's gonna happen. I feel good about it.
Okay, it's a good really team, right?
Yeah.
And shout out to Tobias Vaughn, who I think is on the live show. Okay, I just said Tobias Vaughn because I know he's a big soccer head and I know he's on the live stream. And then I popped in and he says, June 12th, 2026, it'll be Canada versus...
It's the first game, yeah.
Right, so June 12th, 2026, they aren't allowed to call it BMO during this.
No, it's Toronto Stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So at Toronto Stadium... I'm sure they'll play that song.
I think
match.
it's going to be the song for
they
Toronto
better give you a
Stadium.
ticket, Hill. Honestly,
I won't say no.
Jeez, okay, and it was Croatia that Alphonso Davies, good Edmonton boy, Alphonso Davies scored that goal against. We didn't win that match, but
it's
spoiler
okay.
alert.
Well, there's still plenty of time.
So we are going to go back, learn how you came to be the FIFA Toronto theme composer here, but you mentioned Tara Sloan, so you worked with Tara Sloan, but I couldn't help but notice, I'm just going to shout out a couple other names you worked with. You can tell me how you worked with them. The Weeknd?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me, because that's a big freaking name, Hill. I mean, with all due respect to Tara Sloan from Joy Drop, who's excellent.
Yeah, which I love Joy Drop growing up. So The Weeknd, I was actually in his first band during the House of Balloons, like the trilogy mixtape era. So I was his bass player / keyboard player / backup singer.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a really fun time for sure. Okay. Yeah,
I'm Gen X here. I'm a little older than you, and I need to shout out. I should have wore my T-shirt, but this band has been in the basement. I'm proud to say, but. You worked with Martha and the Muffins?
Yeah, I did. I was really lucky to work with them. I absolutely love Martha and Mark.
Well, tell me, was it a remix of Echo Beach? What's going on here?
No, I actually played on. Was it the 25th anniversary recording of Echo Beach? But yeah, Martha and Mark had released a new album called Delicate. I think was it Delicate? I think that's the name of it. Anyway, I played in their band as well. And we've also co-written a bunch of songs together that each of us have recorded in our respective solo projects. So okay,
so now as we find out, how Hill became this producer, engineer extraordinaire. We're going to get that origin story. But in your honest opinion, as a knowledgeable music person, what do you think of the song Echo Beach? Like sonically, musically, I'm curious for your honest review of Echo Beach by Martha.
I'm obsessed with that. I'm obsessed with Martha and the Muffins. I was before I even got to play with them. So, it's such a unique sound. I think they're kind of the epitome of the West Queen West sound, like that new wave sound that was emerging in Toronto at that time. And to me, it's just one of those iconic kind of songs that I think is really indicative of that time here in the music scene in Toronto.
I'm glad to hear you. I mean, you're a little biased because you played with these guys, but I'm here to tell you you're correct.
I also think they're brilliant. Yeah.
What to me, Echo Beach, what a definitive Toronto song that is. Like if I'm going to come up with the 10 Toronto songs,
that's one of them.
Fun exercise for us one day, Hill. The 10 Toronto songs.
I would love that.
Echo Beach, 100% slam dunk in that list of 10 Toronto songs.
And I think like what a huge part of the sound, the Muffin sound, I think was Mark Gaines' guitar playing. It's just so unique. He is such an interesting guitar player.
Yeah, shout out to, they renamed themselves M&M because Mark told me in this basement, he said, I was tired of being a muffin.
I actually got them to call me Mini Muffin when I joined the band. I was like,
you're an honorary muffin.
Yeah.
Honestly, you should feel, that's enough. Forget the Juno. Okay, so can you give me a little background on your origin story here? And then I do have some songs and stuff, but you're like, I don't know how to even describe you. You're a producer, you're a songwriter, you're a composer, you're a mixer, you're a recording engineer, you're a multi-instrumentalist, you're an artist, you're a director.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did Hill become this unicorn?
I started like many start with my first band. I think I was around 12 years old. And I was in homeroom, and I just had this idea to start a band. And so I just started asking everyone in homeroom who wanted to join a band. And that's how it started. And then I immediately started emailing all of my favorite artists at the time. And
who are these artists? I need that list.
I did email. I emailed like Hawksley Workman.
Okay,
I emailed.
Love this guy.
Yeah, he's amazing. I always loved him.
Sweetheart.
I emailed the one I emailed a bunch of people. Actually, I emailed like Jane Weedland from the Go-Go's because she was that was why I started my band, was because of the Go-Go's. It was an all-girl band. And then I got a response back from Andrew Franey from a band called Smoother, which used to be signed to EMI and Sonic Onion, and he called into our rehearsal one day and was like, yeah, I want to record your first demo. And I think at this point we're 13. And he came to my parents' basement with a big PC and some mics and recorded us in my parents' basement and made our first demo. And that was kind of the catalyst moment for me, because it not only kind of unlocked the potential of a music career by having an actual demo, but I saw that I could record myself essentially.
Right.
And it was like part of the first wave of bedroom production almost, And so, yeah, I that's kind of what opened up the recording bug for me. And I quickly downloaded the open source software that we were using to record that demo and never looked back.
You're like Beck, You just go up in his bedroom and make Loser or whatever. Mellow Gold.
I wish that's what my first record sounded like, but it wasn't.
I can't believe you're 13. So what was the name of the band?
We were called the Sirens, but not like the police sirens, like the Greek mythological creatures.
That's what I thought right off the top.
Lured sailors into their deaths.
Well, that sounds appropriate. We'll
right?
We'll dig into that. Okay,
angsty.
So that's so young. Like I'm thinking, who are you, Taylor Swift over here? So you're recording these
not
demos.
As talented.
I wouldn't jump to that conclusion. Okay, to each his own, or their own. But so you're 13 years old, and then like walk me through it. What's next? Because spoiler alert: at some point you're going to win a Juno Award, like for Recording Engineer of the Year, and you're up for a Juno this year.
Yeah,
Junos are coming up, right?
Yeah, they're this week. I leave in a couple of days. Yeah.
Are they in Hamilton?
No, they're going to be in Hamilton next year.
Oh,
they're
next
in
year's
Vancouver.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
So when do you fly out?
Friday. Yeah.
Okay, you made time for me.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
No, are you kidding me?
I was excited.
You kidding me? You had me at hello here. Okay. So walk me through it. This will be fun exercise for you to kind of the ongoing history. You're still very young, but you've already had to accomplish so much. Like, so you're 13, you do the demo. What happens next?
The next big step was I start playing the clubs in Toronto. My band had since kind of broken up. It turned into a bit of a solo project after that. But yeah, I started playing. I think my first gig ever was at Holy Joe's, part of the Big Bop.
Yeah.
And then, subsequently started playing Rivoli, Elmo, like all those gigs. And then eventually I started to make friends with a bunch of the people in the Toronto scene. And then they started asking me to either write songs with them or tour with them. And so I kind of became a musician for hire, which was completely unexpected, but a super fun thing for me to do.
Anyone there you want to shout out? As you know, I like the name drops.
There were a few. I mean, my first gig ever was with an artist named Jean O'Brien, and I played bass with her. And then I've played with Sate or Saida Baba Talib. I played in her last band before she started the Sate project. Yeah, I can't honestly. It's been so many years.
Too many to
many to name. There was Tara Sloan around that time. I was super young when I started playing with Tara. And so
much like yourself, Tara, because I hope she's listening right now. I find her career interesting because a lot of not a lot of people, but I mean not me for example, but you know, she could have been musician, Tara Sloan, great musician, right? You know, you mentioned Joy Drop earlier, you know, big 90s alt rock band. But she has like different facets to this career. Like, for example, she's been a television star, and she is a sports media star now, you know, covering San Jose Sharks, etc. So I just find it interesting when an artist like yourself, like how do you describe Hill? You know, she's a singer? No, she's an engineer. Like, that's not fair to you to call you an engineer. We're going to talk at some point here. We're going to talk about music videos you've directed for some big time artists, some of whom have been in this very basement. That's how big they are. But I mean. Like, so shout out to Tara Sloan is what I'm saying there. But so you're playing the Rivoli, you're playing the Elmo, you're making these stops along the way. You're bumping into people like Andrea, maybe?
Yeah, I definitely ran into Andrea. I mean, the scene's really small here in Toronto. That's the beauty of it, is even regardless of what genre of music you're playing, like we were all kind of stacked on the same bills. So we all got to know each other. Yeah, and around this time I started to record my own music because I felt like nobody understood what I wanted to sound like. Well,
what did you want to sound like?
It's interesting because I felt like whenever someone would record me, they tried to make me sound like a singer-songwriter, but I was writing all these really quirky, weird alternative tunes. So
when you say that, are they trying to make you like Sarah McLachlan?
Kind of like, yeah, just like I absolutely love Sarah. I love singer-songwriters, but it's not the type of music that I would necessarily write. So yeah, so I just kind of started to explore what production would sound like for me, because I don't think that there was anything out there that sounded like what I kind of imagined in my mind. And then it became a trial and error process because I didn't go to school for production or engineering.
Right.
It was literally me in my basement, and I just... and eventually my bedroom, and I would just kind of start to experiment with the technology. And then the more that I started working in other studios, I saw that they were using programs like Pro Tools. So I went to Long McQuay, bought my first Pro Tools rig, used.
I love it. You got your hands dirty.
Yeah. And it was just, I mean, everything sounded like absolute ass at first. And then eventually things started to sound good enough that friends started to ask me to record music for them. And that's how I became a producer.
And next thing you know it, you're a professional.
Yeah. So I feel like everything that I've done, it's kind of been by accident. Like I was just asked to do something and then was like, sure, let's try this.
Very cool. Here's a little flashback for you. So listen to this.
And the Juno Award goes to Hill Kourkoutis. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you to Karis. Thank you to Sate and Tanya Joy for trusting me with your hearts and your art. Thank you to my team, Joe D'Ambrosio, Jordy Fernit Yao, Jordan Howard, CCS, and Day Tripper. My family, who has been the most supportive ever. Thank you for allowing me to follow my dreams. My partner, Abby, mom, dad, Cerise Dimitri. And I dedicate this award to my late friend, Tim Thorney, who was my mentor and champion. Thank you.
So Hill, where was the Junos that year?
Toronto.
How convenient. Okay. When you hear that back, like what thoughts are cross in your mind when you hear that?
Definitely surreal. It felt like a very emotional night. It was very unexpected. Yeah. And I don't know. It brings me joy. It was a beautiful night.
What was the award for exactly?
It was for Recording Engineer of the Year.
That sounds like a big one. Okay, so that's 2022.
Yep.
Did you know you were the first woman to win that award?
I found out actually when the nominations came out that a woman had never even been nominated.
Oh, right, you were the first. Yeah, right.
In that category. So that's when I found out that I was the first. Yeah, because I had no idea. Honestly, I thought for sure at some point there would have been at least one, because there are plenty of, well, not plenty, but there are a bunch of us out there.
I mean, there are some industries that are male dominated, but to this extent where you're the first woman ever nominated for Recording Engineer of the Year, and this is 2022, like we're not going, you know,
it's not the 70s.
I wasn't sure, like maybe we're still in 2022. I'm like, that's like, no, well, this is 2022. Like this is happening now. But why do you think it is that the engineering, the tech side, as Andrea shouted out, why is it so dominated by men?
I mean, this is one of those tough questions. I think maybe just culturally or historically, women haven't necessarily been involved in technical professions. I use this example a lot, but my mother, when she was going to school in the late 70s, she was in architecture, and she was like one of 3 women in that program. And, you know, over time, that statistic has changed drastically. But yeah, I think this has been the case too for technical fields. And I don't know if it's because, you know, at the time when the sound medium was kind of emerging and the technology was emerging, it just wasn't a place that a woman would generally be found. But, you know, things are changing now, though.
Well, that's because back in the day, when you pulled the string on the Barbie, it would say things like, math is hard.
Right. Yeah, like for sure, I think society would have made us focus more on other things.
Although I may be confusing Barbie with Malibu Stacy.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know because I didn't really play with Barbies, but I was just like playing with guitars and stuff.
And that's how you become the first woman to win the Juno for Recording Engineer of the Year.
Although I will say now, Barbie, there's scientist Barbies. There's a bunch of different Barbies there.
Now when you pull the string on a Barbie, it says, I love math.
It does.
Okay, thank goodness. Shout out to STEM. Okay. Yeah. Please tell me where this Juno Award resides today. Like, is it on display?
It's a little cliche. It's on my mantle.
Yeah, no, but okay, good. I'm always worried it's in a box in a closet, but you have it on display. And are you going to win another one next week?
I have no idea. There's never any, and I mean this truly, like there's never any expectation, I think, with these things. It's always a shock to even be nominated because like you, I'm in a basement most of my life. And
we have a lot in common. We both taught, we taught ourselves.
Yeah.
We watched what's going on. We figured it out. We got our hands dirty, and we both, you said it was ass at first.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to get out of that. I'm still ass after 1,650 something episodes.
That's massive.
This might be the first
episodes.
This might be the first good one, actually, as I hear it in the headphones here. So, what are you up for this year for Juno?
I'm up for Recording Engineer of the Year again. Yeah.
Okay. On that note, we talk about male dominated. Jack Richardson. Okay, this is a big name, Jack Richardson. In 2024, Hill, I feel like this is your life, Hill. So in 2024, you were nominated for the Jack Richardson Producer of the Year Award. This is a prestigious nomination.
Yep.
But you didn't win that one.
No, I didn't.
Who won that one?
Okay. Sean Everett. He's like the best to lose to. So
we're good with Sean.
We're so good with it.
So
yeah.
I don't know if I should
Sean's
say
incredible. He's actually one of my favorite producers and engineers right now. So yeah, it was an honor to lose to him.
Okay, good. I was about to say fuck Sean, and then I hear how good
never.
He is.
He's amazing.
I take that back, Sean. Come on, Sean and Mike. We'll talk about it. Okay. All right. So I want to play a little music and touch on some other parts of your career, but I have 2 important questions for you.
Okay.
One is, do you drink beer?
I don't much anymore because I unfortunately am gluten-free, which sucks.
I feel like Andrea gave me the same answer.
Yeah, I don't like being gluten-free.
Okay.
It's just a chronic illness. No, not fun.
Not your fault. I won't hold that. So,
but I love it. I do really love craft beer, actually.
What about the cool-looking young woman who drove you here in the orange toque and the shades, who looks to me like a rock star? Does she drink beer?
Gluten-free as well, fortunately.
Okay. Do you have any friends in your life who consume fresh craft beer brewed right here in Southern Etobicoke?
I do. I would love to share it with them if that's for me.
Okay.
I think Andrea have FOMO now.
Yeah, well, Andrea, I think Andrea, who is the same, has an issue of gluten as well. She was sharing hers with unhoused people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can give it to Andrea or give it to unhoused people as well. But it's delicious, and I'm here to tell the listenership that if you drink beer, the delicious beer that I enjoy comes from Great Lakes Brewery, and I'm here to tell you the Sunnyside Session IPA is now available. That's my summer beer. So that's what I drink all summer long. Love it so much. I'm glad it's here, and it's only here for the summer. So get your Sunnyside Session IPA. Now, your gluten issue will mean you can never eat lasagna.
I have found a way. Yeah, there's a loophole. There's gluten-free lasagna noodles now.
But this is probably, these are the worst. I was just about to congratulate myself on the first good episode of Toronto Mike, and these ad mentions couldn't go worse because all I have in my freezer.
Inflammation issues. It's terrible. No, but I it's a bummer because I really do love craft beer, and I was really lucky to I lived in Barrie for 2 years during the pandemic, and I was down the street from the Flying Monkeys Brewery, and they have some beautiful IPAs. I love IPAs. Okay, so this lasagna in my freezer that Palma Pasta sent over for you can't eat that. No, you can't eat that. That sucks.
Okay, that sucks. But here,
I love lasagna, so you're dangling carrots.
You did mention, I don't know if it was before the recording, but you mentioned you have a long torso.
Yeah, is it time to measure my torso?
Yeah. So I have a measuring tape from Ridley Funeral Home. They're pillars of this community. They're at 14th and Lakeshore. Brad Jones from Ridley Funeral Home has a great podcast called Life's Undertaking, and everybody listening should subscribe to Life's Undertaking from Brad Jones at Ridley Funeral Home. Measure your torso for me and let me know what that we're talking about here. Okay, what are we? How many centimeters?
Accurate? Hold on.
Come on.
Okay, wait. Is that the top of my head?
Yeah.
I always round and people yell at me. It looks like a 30. This is inches, right? 34 inches.
Okay.
Is that a tall torso?
Yeah, that's a
very
I have to
large
pretend
torso.
I have any frame of reference for this. You have one hell of a torso.
That's right.
You've been told that before?
I have, actually, yeah.
Okay, you should be very proud. Be very proud of that torso.
Thank you.
As an engineer, as a tech person, I'm sure you have old cables, like old electronics that are not used anymore, but maybe they're in a drawer or a closet or a room.
I do, yeah. I hoard everything.
Okay, so here's my good piece of advice for you.
Okay.
Don't throw that in the garbage, Hill, because those chemicals end up in our landfill. Yeah. But if you go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and you put in your postal code, you can say, oh, I can drop it off at the Staples down the street or whatever. And it gets properly recycled. So everybody listening who has, hoarding of the old tech that they'll never use again, go to recyclemyelectronics.ca.
Wow.
You didn't know I have good
I didn't
advice.
know this. That's amazing advice.
Okay, about to get to a jam here, but I am going to shout out one more podcast, which is called Building Toronto Skyline, and it's hosted by Nick Iones from Fusion Corp, and Nick Iones stepped up to help fuel the real talk so I can have very interesting conversations with multi-talented, award-winning talents like Hill Kourkoutis. And I want to thank Nick for his for sponsoring and urge people to subscribe to Building Toronto's Skyline. What will I play here? I'm just randomly going to play a couple here.
I play the part. I play the game. I know the rules are not the same, but I'm done. I've rearranged, may not have won, but things have changed. A girl's gotta do what a girl's in the shadows. A girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do.
Hill, who is this?
This is Jill Barber.
Jill Barber, and this is the Hill Kourkoutis remix.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit. This is a good gateway for you to share with us all a little bit about, your contribution to so many albums out there, so many singles. Like if I'm searching on YouTube and there's so many remixes by you and everything. So maybe chat a little bit about, you mentioned Sate earlier, but some of these artists you work with, and this Jill Barber jam is great.
Yeah, this came about, Jill and I were hanging out when she was in town, and we just talked about finding a way to collaborate together, and she had just released this album with the single Girls Gotta Do, and I absolutely love the song, and so yeah, she was like, would you like to remix it? And that's how that came about. And then a lot of the other projects, like working with Sate, for example.
Yeah.
Sate and I have been friends for a really long time. I think I met her around the time I was 16, part of the same crew with Andrea Remelo and Tara Sloan and everybody. And we first just started hanging out and then eventually started playing in each other's bands. I played in her Saida Baba Taliba project, and then she played in my Alien Surf Rock project, Hill in the Sky Heroes, and then...
Alien Surf Rock.
Yeah, there were like singing saws and theremins and stuff involved in that project.
Rob Pruce, if you're listening right now, you want to. I think that's right up Rob Pruce's alley right there.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and then there's a bit of surf, obviously, element in that, because I love Dick Dale and I love that sound.
Shadowy Men on a Shadowy Planet. It's got that surf rock thing going on. I love it too. Yeah, shout out to Pulp Fiction. I got the Pulp Fiction poster around the corner.
Yeah, it's classics. So yeah, and then eventually. Rumble, like Link Ray, yeah.
Link Ray.
Yeah, I love Link Ray.
Yeah.
He's the father of punk and the father of distortion. He invented the distorted guitar sound.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
Cool. I love Link Ray. Yeah, and anyway, eventually we just, she asked me to produce her album, and that's how it came about, and that's how we did The Fool together, which is an album that I'm really proud of.
And you worked with Digging Roots?
Yes, yeah. Two very dear friends of mine as well, Shoshona and Raven. And yeah, that we got to work on an album together called Joanna, which was I'm really proud of that album. I'm proud of all the albums I've gotten to work on. I really only work with artists that I really love, and I'm very blessed to have that choice,
Earlier, I teased that you directed music videos.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me like how you're engineering and helping to create this great music, but how does that translate into directing music videos?
So when I graduated high school, I promised my parents that I would get a degree, and I ended up going to Ryerson, which is now known as Toronto Metropolitan University, and I went there for film school. So around my second year in film school, Tara Sloan actually had reached out and wanted me to direct a music video for her. And so I ended up directing my first music video while I was in film school, kind of student project vibes. And then a few months later, my dear friend Serena Ryder, who's my best friend, reached out and was like, hey, would you like to write a treatment for my next single to direct a music video? And I was like, what? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still in school, but I did it anyway because I was terrified of missing out on the opportunity to direct
FOMO.
a video. Yeah, that's my whole life is FOMO. That's what motivates me, and fear of failure.
Well, it's good because you're like, you have an opportunity, and if you pass on it, then later down the road, you'll have that regret, right? Like
for sure. And I'm terrified of feeling that way. So
that's how I felt when I got the email from CNN. Okay,
yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to do this.
I don't want to
wake up tomorrow and do this. And I said, you're gonna regret not doing this
for sure.
Okay, Serena Ryder, I need to know. I actually assigned a task to Andrea Romolo about she's going to ask Andy Petrillo to come on Toronto Mike because I want to talk to her high school friend Andy Petrillo. And I'm wondering, would Serena Ryder pay a visit to the basement?
I cannot speak for her, but I can definitely throw it out there.
All you can do is put in the
for sure throw it out there.
Suggestion, and hopefully Serena Ryder doesn't have a gluten issue and enjoy the craft beer. Got to get her on. She's great. But another woman who has visited the basement that I loved my chat with her, Sass Jordan.
Yes, I love Sass. She's another very dear friend. Yeah.
Wow, you're well connected. So you directed a video for Sass.
I did, and that came about. So I actually met Sass in my third year of film school. I was doing one of my projects for that year was a documentary on women in rock and roll. And I had a mutual friend with Sass, and I asked her if she could reach out to Sass and kind of send my pitch to her. And Sass responded and was like, yeah, meet me at this event and you can interview me for half an hour. So we ended up just sitting down and talking. And I think we talked about women in rock and roll for the first 7 minutes. And then the rest of the time we started talking about quantum physics and all this insane stuff. And we became really good friends after that. Yeah, we just instantly hit it off. And then eventually she asked me to direct a music video for her. So.
Well, she's wild and entertaining and interesting. And I got a lot of time for Sass Jordan. Without a doubt. So who are these? I'm trying to think of icons. There's so many great ones, but like it's beyond. I mean, Janis Joplin, obviously, but woman in rock. Chrissy Hind, the Pretenders. I still love the Pretenders, but I'm just wondering who else. Patti Smith.
Yeah, I mean, I did for that interview. I actually interviewed Tara. The whole purpose of the documentary, if I remember correctly, was I was wondering why after a certain age women were expected to kind of switch genres, right? Because I knew all these badass rocker women and it didn't make any sense to me. And so it was kind of an exploration of kind of the industry and societal expectations of women. And, as we age, why is it that we have to almost soften?
Interesting observation I never considered because we don't expect the same of like Mick Jagger.
This is it. There's a double standard.
Right.
And that's...
I got to open my eyes, wow. You're absolutely right. There's this expectation of like you can't rock anymore. You've hit the...
Which is BS because you see someone like Sass and she's still rocking, and she's incredible. And anyway, so the documentary was to kind of get rid of that.
You know who else is still rocking? Lee Aaron is still rocking.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of women still rocking right
Biff
now.
Naked's still rocking.
Biff Naked
she's my
is totally
age, so
rocking.
I don't want to make it sound like she's...
I love Biff too. She's incredible. Yeah.
Oh, Biff lives in Mimico. Do you know that?
I felt like I knew that, yes.
And she walks her dog at a park near here. And it's always a pleasure when you see Biff walking the dog. You can chat her up. She's the best.
Amazing. Yeah. I always run into her at Long and McQuade.
Yeah, and she also won't drink the craft beer that's so delicious.
Right.
It's a little straight edge over there, but
that's okay.
That's okay. No judgments here. Straight edge if you wish. But one more name, Mother.
Yeah. So that came about. So while I was in film school, I started working part-time at a music video production company to make some money while I was a student. And obviously I was an executive assistant, and then when all these opportunities started coming in to be a director for music videos, my executive producer was like, well, we're going to produce your videos for you. So then they ended up signing me onto their roster, and I started pitching to artists to direct music videos, and Mother was one of those artists I pitched to for a song called Hayloft, and we made a really fun video together. Okay,
so these are music videos that you're directing. Alex Cuba.
Yes, I did a fun video with Alex as well.
Just name checking all these greats. Okay, but now that I've got you talking about your work for the screen, if you will, I'm just going to play something else.
I really like the way you look at me, how we communicate and we don't need to speak. It's true. I'm myself when I'm with you. Yeah, it's true. Everything is better with you. Everything is better with you. Remy and Boo.
That's Remy and Boo.
Yes.
Okay.
Theme song.
Okay. So Remy and Boo, I actually feel I missed Remy and Boo, but I hear nothing but good things. This is a children's television show. If you couldn't, it's a CBC show, but. How did you get involved writing and producing songs for children's television shows like Remy and Boo?
So my friend Tim Thorney, who is a mentor and champion of mine, was involved in the children's songwriting world. And he kind of asked me one day, he's like, would you ever be interested in pitching to children's shows? And I was like, you know what? That sounds really fun. So I kind of, again, another throwing a random thing at me and saying yes. And so, I started pitching to children's shows, but the Remy and Boo one came up actually. Someone approached me directly because that show is about two best friends, and they asked if I could write a song with my best friend. for the theme song, and that's when Serena and I got together and kind of wrote a song about best friends.
It does sound a little like Stomp, like off the top, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Little stompy there. Okay.
Yeah, so that's how that one came about. But yeah, like most things, I feel like everything's been a happy accident and FOMO. Hard cases of FOMO.
And you're just getting, in many regards, you're just getting warmed up here. You're just getting started.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. So. I always just don't know what tomorrow will bring. So you kind of have to take life by the horns, so to speak. That's how I feel.
You take the bull by the horn. Okay, I don't know. Life's got these horns.
My life has horns.
Every artist has pre-Toronto Mic debut and post-Toronto Mic debut. Okay, so this is like the demarcation line, and I think you're gonna blow up here. I think you're already blowing up. But just gonna shout out Dino Ranch.
Yeah, that was a really that's one of my favorite shows.
And that's another CBC. I think it's CBC. Maybe it's Disney
CBC and Disney. Yeah, co-pro.
What a collaboration there. Okay. Yeah. Thomas and Friends, All Engines Go.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Thomas the Tank Engine?
I grew up watching Thomas. That's why that was very exciting. And the
who
new
was
Thomas,
your conductor?
There were a few because there was George Carlin and then Ringo. Because I watched
Alec Baldwin's in there too. Like all three of those guys did it. Ringo for sure.
I think Alec might have been after because when I was watching Shining Time Station, it was like pretty early days.
Right. So you're watching George Carlin or
and
Ringo Starr for sure. That's and while I think you're right, I think the third in might be Alec Baldwin.
I didn't even know Alec Baldwin was Mr. Conductor.
Well,
that's wild.
That's a fun fact.
And Didi Khan was in that show too, who's super fun.
Okay, very cool. Now that's a Netflix series. So so you're writing, producing songs for these children's shows. Last but not least, I'm wondering if we could talk about, sometimes you have to sell out, right? Like I feel like when I was growing up, there was nothing frowned upon more, nothing worse than selling out. Like maybe it was the Neil Young influence or whatever, but I can tell you, I this podcast, which was a labor of love for a very long time, I resisted taking a penny from the brewery because I didn't want to sell out. Like I have this thing in me from the 90s. I don't know. It's like part of my DNA where it's like, oh, you can't sell out. But in 2025, selling out is totally radical, right? Like it's okay to sell out is what I'm at. It's okay to sell out, Hill?
I don't really believe in selling. I think it's a total BS. I think it's a way for haters to just make excuses for hating on people that are doing well. And
you got
like everyone talked about Britney Spears being a sellout, and I'm like, Britney Spears is exactly who she is. How can she be selling out? She's an entertainer. She's doing exactly what she wants to be doing. That's not selling out.
And she's a pop star.
Yeah, like I just think it's a really silly argument.
But like Patti Smith, my feeling on this is that you need to be paid for your work so you can eat and live and have shelter and all these important things.
Absolutely. And I say this all the time because there's this really horrible notion that in order for you to be an artist, you need to bleed for your art and you need to suffer. And I think that's really dangerous. I think we need to look at things more holistically because in every other industry, people are expected to be respected for what they do. And so I think it's BS. Get paid for what you do.
Okay, so you're getting paid for things you're doing. And it reminds me, I had Patrick Pentland from Sloan was here last week.
Love him.
And I love him too. And we were talking about one of his songs, one of his compositions for Sloan is on this iced tea commercial, Fuse, I think it is, F-U-Z-E. But it's pretty high profile ad, and they're using, I think it's a Money City Maniacs, but they're using
that song's like so iconic.
Well, that's a Patrick song.
Yeah, it is.
Patrick, I love Underwhelmed because it's the first song I ever heard, and that's a Chris Murphy song. Yeah. But a lot of these big hits from Sloan are Patrick jams.
He has some really big jams for sure. That whole record, Navy Blues, I think has some really big jams. Like the other one though was a Chris song, but She Says What She Means was my other favorite song off that record.
The thing about that band is four people contributing, and Andrew Scott's in the calendar, so Andrew Scott's going to make his Toronto Mic debut.
You wrote Sinking Ships off that record, which was one of my favorite songs.
I think the deal is they each get 3 songs on an album or something. Like they have a
conscious?
Deal. Yeah,
I think
they have they're all equals, and they each get 3 songs that they write. So they don't write collaboratively. Like they don't all get in a room and write together. They just bring songs, which I find is just an interesting dynamic.
Cool.
But so I brought that up because you've been featured in, like, for example, I think I'll shout out some brands that should be sponsoring Toronto Mike, like Cadillac, Virgin Mobile, Tim Hortons. These are big brands. And so you got gigs from these big brands.
Yeah, the Cadillac commercial was actually a pitch, so I actually wrote for that commercial. Like they sent me the ad and I wrote to the picture. And then the other songs were licenses and
good for you.
Fun, yeah.
No wonder FIFA called you. Like FIFA knows what they're doing. Like you think that's not an accident. They know what they're doing. And just to shout out a few TV shows because it includes one. I hope Andy's listening, but like, okay, I know the guy who wrote the book that Private Eyes is based on.
Oh, so cool.
It's Gare Joyce, so hello to Gare Joyce. And Private Eyes is coming back. Do you know that?
I heard this, yeah.
Yeah, it's been announced.
Really cool. They're going to be on the West Coast,
though.
Now,
LA.
right?
It's like a Private Eyes LA. And that's and Jason Priestley's been on this very program.
Yes. Well, isn't he's one of the creators, I think. Or maybe
he's
mistaken. Or he's like one of the guys.
Yeah. So the Gare wrote the book and then they license it, I guess, Chorus, whoever licensed it. And then now you have Private Eyes. So I'm going to shout out some shows. Station 19, Private Eyes. Offspring, which I thought was a fucking cool 90s, rock punk band. But,
which I love them. Yeah, but this is a show in Australia, actually.
Australian show, okay.
Which is wild. That's like, and they still play that song on that show, like over there.
For sure. Bloodthirsty. Kim's Convenience, which is no longer active, but was a great Toronto show. Killjoys, not to be confused with the Killjoys. Shout out to the Killjoys. A couple of members are FOTMs. Degrassi. This is for Andy. Degrassi. Oh, how big is Degrassi? And Hometown Hockey. Back to Tara Sloan, of course. But these are just shows that have included some Hill Kourkoutis. Good for you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to speak to any of that, but is there an interesting story in that? Maybe tell me the Degrassi story before.
Actually, I think the song that was on Degrassi was a co-write that I did with Martha and the Muffins called No Man's Land, actually. And it was, I can't remember what scene it was used in. I think it was like people looking for revenge. That song's about revenge. So,
do you know back in the day there were 2 Marthas in Martha and the Muffins?
I did know this, yes. The keyboard player was also a Martha, right? Was that the one?
I'm gonna tap out. I'm not sure exactly. The other
I could be wrong too.
There was a love triangle.
I never met the other Martha.
There's quite a story. Like you should do a documentary about it because
maybe I should. Maybe that'll be my new venture back into film.
Dude, one thing that struck me, so Martha, I believe it's multiple sclerosis, but she has a neurological disorder. Parkinson's, thank you, because I messed that up and that's terrible. But she used a walker to get down here, but I'm not sure she could even get down here today. Like, I was really honored that I got a visit from Martha, and they gave me that T-shirt, which I should have worn. I should wear it for the photo. Maybe I'll run up and put it on. But really, I would say an underappreciated Toronto band that has delivered so many musical gems, not way beyond Echo Beach, but if you're looking, that's the anthem, and it's amazing you got to work so closely with them.
Yeah, no, all their albums are incredible.
All right, on our way out, rank all the albums. No, I just kidding.
Could you imagine? I can't do that.
Hill, what's next for you? Like now that you're going to win another Juno next week, I'm calling it, in Vancouver. What's next for you?
I'm just, I spend pretty much all my days in the studio, so I'm going to go to Vancouver for the Junos, and then I'm back working with a bunch of artists I'm really excited about. I have some new music coming out with Ace and Abby, an artist named Emmy Jean. Yeah,
I know, I didn't ask you about Ace and Abby. You worked with Ace and Abby, of course.
Yeah.
But what have you done in the past with Ace and Abby?
I produced his debut album, Wanton, which was about his grandfather, who's a residential school survivor.
Amazing. I'm just honored you came by for this chat.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
And I'm sorry you can't enjoy any of the free beverage and food I'm giving you.
It's okay. If you can solve the gluten problem, then I'll be back in.
I'll be in the lab tonight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
figure it out. Find me a pill.
What I need to do is I need to talk to my dear friends at Great Lakes and
if you can make a gluten-free beer, I will drink that beer for sure.
Well, I produce their podcast. It's called Between Two Fermenters, and the gang from GLB, literally, I know, it's an amazing name. I didn't name it, but we just dropped a new episode about Sunnyside yesterday morning. But I have them in the basement every week or so, and I pepper them with questions. I had questions about...
Put in a good word for me and the other gluten-free people.
Hill, thanks for this. I really, really enjoyed this.
Me too.